Hello and welcome to the Blessings in the Streets podcast. I am your host, Joseph B. Roberts, and you are in store for an exciting show, an exciting podcast opportunity today because with me I have two phenomenal ladies, two women of God who have a heart for young people who are doing a great work and using their journeys to not only facilitate that calling that they have on their lives, but they've decided to just share a little bit of that with us today. So I'm pleased, I am honored, I am privileged to introduce to you my esteemed guests, Sarai Johnson and Desiree Robinson. Ladies, welcome to the show. It is so nice
Hey.
to have
Thank you
you.
for having us. We're so
Absolutely.
excited.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for being here. And so
Thank you.
before we jump in and get things rolling, I want the audience to have an opportunity to get to know a little bit about yourself. So I'm going to start with you, Desiree. If you would, please introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, my name is Desiree Robinson, and I'm born and raised in Dallas, Texas, in the Oak Cliff area. Single parent household. I have three siblings, and a lot on my daddy's side. but I'm just navigating through life and just here to encourage the next person.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Desiree, for that introduction. And Sarai, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sarai Johnson. I grew up in a two-parent household. I did have a stepdad in the home, but he was like never said. Like nobody would know that's my stepdad unless I was to present that. I did know my biological dad about the age of 6 or 7, and he was in prison. My grandma on his side would take me to go and see him, but as he got out, like there was an estranged like relationship there. So with me growing up with that, with me having a two-parent household, I still longed for the love of my biological father. And I never knew that until God revealed that to me about a year ago. But yeah, my household was, I mean, it was faith based, loving, but I still always longed for my dad. So I always felt like it was a piece left from me there. But as far as my mom and dad that raised me, like they did everything that they could. Like I grew up in Dallas, Texas, but they grew up in the struggle, so they wanted better for their children. I have two brothers. One passed away when he was 7. I was 4, and so yeah. But they again did the best that they could. I grew up well. It just was those choices that when you get older, getting things, it's like I'm grown or this and that. So, but household was pretty good. I grew up pretty great as far as household, and then I kind of did my own thing and made my own choices.
All right. All right. That is awesome. That is awesome. I'm glad to share that a little bit about that about yourself growing up. And we're going to delve in that a little bit more. Desiree, you mentioned you grew up in a single parent household. So I, of course, I identify with that. I grew up in a single parent household as well. Tell us a little bit more for those who don't understand what that situation is like. What was that like for you? Just that whole dynamic, not having both parents in the home and challenges that you had to kind of perhaps go through to kind of, navigate life and just be at peace mentally and emotionally and even spiritually for that matter.
Honestly, for me, it was kind of up and down. I left my household at 12 years old, so
Mm,
I've been surviving.
okay.
and just being, I just felt like my mom was so overwhelmed, just trying to take care of everything. And I don't know, God, like, kind of, I don't know, took me out and covered me, like, if that makes sense. Because I have left the house at 12. I'm 28. So that's like a whole long journey and stuff. And then I'm going to touch based on what you said. My dad is incarcerated for about 15 years. My granny just left. So she used to take me down there to go see him also. And I have a relationship with my dad, but it's kind of like I still grew up in a single parent household. You know, my mom always took care of everything. She's still taking care of everything right now, you know, and it's still like a struggle on, her because they still learning about life too. You know, as we navigating through life, they're learning also because what we have the opportunity of right now, they didn't have back then. You know, we entrepreneurs now, but back then they had the avenue to be an entrepreneur, but everything has changed, you know. So that's my little bit of background, and thank you for sharing that because it just expresses more. Just having an incarcerated parent, that's a lot. Because you do want that fatherly love. My dad never did nothing wrong to me. He always showed up. So we have a good relationship, but it just kind of inconvenient sometimes because he's far away and not knowing when he's touching back base. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. I appreciate that transparency. But now I do want to follow up, and again, to whatever degree you're comfortable in sharing. You
Oh,
said
yes.
you left at 12.
12. My
That's
mom
that's
said.
not traditionally the normal age that we talk about leaving home. So
Yes.
I'm just curious to, again, to whatever degree you're willing to share, how did this whole leaving at 12 from home happen? What was the basis of that?
Honestly, like I knew I was different. I didn't feel like I was supposed to be there. So
Mhm.
my mom was like, "If you want to leave, I'll leave the house and you can go, but I'm gonna put a runaway case on you, okay?" So I literally, she left the house. Her, and my little sister. She came back. I was gone. I was in the building behind her at a friend's house. And ever since then, like I said, God done put so many people in place. Like He always made sure I had somewhere to go. Like it was homelessness, but it wasn't. It's like He ordered like it was ordained for me to go here to here to here, and I appreciate them people to this day because like I have like over 100 mamas,
Mhm.
I have a biological mom, but I have mamas like I can call them and they navigate me through this thing called life, and it's just interesting, leaving the house at 12. That's a huge step, and
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah, and that's an understatement. That's a huge step to leave at 12. And but again, another example of God's covering that even though you left at an early age and your mom was willing to allow you to do so, the fact that He protected you and shielded you, the fact that you're even here today to even share that story, speaks volumes that He had work for you to do. There was
yes,
something that you were supposed to gain from this leaving home at 12 experience, and I'm sure we're going to have an opportunity to delve in that a little bit more. But it's just phenomenal, and just the grace of God and the love of God that He kept you and covered you. Nobody looking at you right now would say, "Oh, this was a girl who left home at 12 and was bouncing from spot to spot," because you're not supposed to be around to tell that. So
right,
just that testament in itself is awesome. So one thing I'm curious to build upon that you both mentioned, of course, the idea of of dads being in prison and just not having that fatherly presence. How has that absence of the fatherly presence played a role in terms of just how you've chosen or how you've looked at men in life in general, like men that whether it's guys that you might have interest in or whatever? Did that absence have a positive and or negative impact on certain choices that maybe you made in life in regards to other men? How did that impact of the absence of the dad not being there? I mean, I know what it was like for me not growing up with my dad, but I'm a son without my dad, and now being a father of a daughter, I can't imagine like not being away from my daughter. So, from a daughter's perspective, talk to me a little bit about that.
well,
And
I
I'll start
So
guess.
with you.
for
I'll start with
me,
you. I'm
um,
sorry. Go ahead, Sarai. I'm sorry.
yeah, so I had a dad. He loved me. He told me how beautiful I was. He poured into me, like, seriously, what a father dad was supposed to do. But again, with me longing for my biological dad, I feel like I made the wrong choices in people.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody could tell me that I was beautiful, a guy, and that's all I needed to hear for him to will me in, for me to do whatever. Um, that led me to be in abusive relationships. That led me um, to being molested. That led me to being raped. That led me to being in a relationship for a very long time where I've had several kids had on me and I still stayed. So it definitely played on my low self esteem of not knowing who I was because I was just longing. And again, I never knew that until God revealed that to me last year because I could not understand why this was happening because I had a dad that loved me. It's just really crazy to me. But again, yeah, it played on my mental of being in a low self esteem state of longing just for the love of my real dad, for him to just love on me like all the time, and he had like when he got out, he got married. He had children in the household, and it's just really crazy because at my big age, I used to have like a little resentment or jealousy with my little sisters because it was like you get to grow up in the household with dad, and he's not there for me. The only time I will talk to him is I had to reach out and things like that. So not just really showing up for me, and so, yeah, it played on me having low self esteem and allowing whatever God told me I was beautiful. That's where I was at. Like, no matter the abuse, no matter like that was still love. If you told me you loved me, I believed you. So, yeah, that was it for me.
Gotcha. And then again, thank you for that transparency and that. Desiree, same question. I know you
Oof.
said my dad loved me. You never had any doubt of the love, but it was still that presence. You already out the house at 12. Physically, dad's not active there. How did that impact you in decisions with men and just in general, just the whole psyche of it all, emotionally, mentally? What was that like for you, and how did you work through that?
Well, I'm still navigating through that, like knowing what I like, what I don't like. I have the wrong choice of men. I've been in abusive relationship, just like how she touched base, molested, rape, all that. And it's because it's like you looking for the love and you think that's love, but it's lust, And I had to learn the two different things of love and lust is totally different. And I know what I want, but it's like hard. It's not hard to find a man, but it's like you done been so abused and neglected and doubted, and it's like it's hard to even just pour yourself onto that person. I'm a nurturing person, so I adapt to men so quick and just expect that like this is my role. No, it's not. The man that God has for you, you'll know when he's the one because he's gonna be a complete package. Like you ain't gonna ask him to do anything, but then you got some men that'll come in your life and make it seem like they the complete package, and it's the totally opposite. So I'm learning how to just know like what God is love. That's like I want that type of love, So my choice of men, I'm still navigating around that because not having a father just presently there. I know he loved me physically and mentally and stuff, but it's like I look for the love in so many different areas, even if it made me sexually active, because we thinking like that's what that is. And I left the house at 12, so nobody really ever, explains to me like what love is, what is lust, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's just I find my way in just adapting to people. But now I just took a step back and just try to figure out what the man God has for me, and make sure that he aligns up with what I got going or where I'm going to. So that's my partake on it.
Awesome, awesome. And again, to both of you, I appreciate your transparency. I know that this is not a comfortable conversation to have, and I asked you, of course, numerous times before we even started the podcast, what was off limits, what wasn't, and so you sharing these things again. There's a young lady that needs to hear this, and prayerfully, there will be a young lady or a parent of a young lady, even if she's a young parent, that can kind of relay these messages and hopefully make a difference in someone's life. So thank you for that that transparency. That's very powerful and necessary. And it's also, from a male perspective, it's a testimony to the men out there who perhaps take for granted or dismiss the importance of their presence in
Yeah.
the lives, particularly in the lives of their daughters. Many daughters who grow up, regardless of what the circumstances are going to make choices in men based off of the men that they had in their lives. And that father is the first example of that. So the question becomes, am I going to be a good example of that? Or am I going to be a mediocre example? Am I going to be an example that my daughter should be proud of and that she'll take those characteristics and know that when she's out here making choices in men for whatever reason, that you have standards, you have there's things that you will and will not tolerate, that kind of thing, versus just accepting the first thing or the first person that says, I love you, or the first person that says I'm cute, or whatever. Not allowing that to just define you in itself, that that you require more of someone who's going to come to you because they're going to get top notch. They're going to get more in you. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Um, what I'd like to kind of transition into next is, again, as we go through this journey of life, you live long enough, and it doesn't take a lot of living to do, but you live long enough, you're going to encounter situations that, yeah, I'll have my trials and tribulations, my valley experiences here and there, but sometimes there's that situation that it hits different. Um, this is like, okay, I can't make a phone call on this. I can't throw some money at it and make it go away. This hits a little bit different. This is something that I'm not even sure I'm gonna be able to get up out of. Tell me about a time such an experience was like that for you, and just kind of walk us through that journey. And what did you have to do to avoid the risk of just getting stuck and not being able to move any further? But nevertheless, despite the difficulty in it, despite the challenge in it, you were able to persevere. And whether it's still an ongoing journey or whether it's something that you completely overcame altogether, I'm curious to know, what was that journey or that story like for you? And I'll start with you, Sarai. Tell me, what was this particular situation that would fall into the category of what I'm asking of?
Yeah, so I would say mine was an abusive relationship. I started this relationship. So this is by this time I was raped. My desire was to give myself away when I found the husband. I didn't care. I had a high school sweetheart. We were not sexually active. Like, my mom taught me a lot of things, but that thing stuck with me. And so when that happened to me, I felt like, well, it's already gone. I didn't know that I could rededicate that back to God. So I felt it's already gone, so it's whatever. So I began to act out at home. My mom kicked me out, so I went to go live with my grandma and my aunt. And I met a guy, and again, my self esteem now is like basically to the floor. And so he told me I was beautiful. I got with him at 18, and he began to abuse me, like hit me. Like, when I say hit, I mean hospital. Like, I was in an abusive relationship, and I I never thought anything was wrong with it because he would say he was sorry. He would say that he would love me. So I would take him back in. Nobody knew this. Nobody knew what was going on because I would stay months away from home. And so, again, I never knew it was a problem until I became pregnant. And, when you become pregnant as a mother, it does something to you a little bit because now you have to take care of a human being. Now you feel like you have to grow up a little bit because you have to teach this child something. And so I got pregnant. I still was in this abusive relationship, and I would get beat while I was pregnant. Like, it was crazy, like hitting my stomach. I know this was nobody but God for my son to be perfectly born without any type of defects, no type of anything. And so, again, still not knowing something was wrong because I never wanted to be a single mother. So that played on me too, because here I was, I already had in my mind, I wanted a husband. I was going to lose my virginity then we were going to start a family. So now I'm not going nowhere. Like, we're not going nowhere because we have this kid. And so I didn't want to be a single mother. And so I stayed in that a little bit, but then when my son became born and he hit me, and then pushed my child down, it kind of woke me up a little bit. And at this time, we were married. So then we got married because, again, you're not leaving me by myself with a child. And so we got married, and my child is what woke me up. And because I said, how am I going to teach my son something? Or if he grows up with his dad hitting his mom or calling her out of her name, all of these things in this chaos, he's either going to do one or two things. He's either going to say, I don't want to have this type of relationship, or he's going to become his dad, right? And so I just didn't want that. So that's what made me wake up to leave. But yeah, I was didn't think I was gonna get out because, I mean, again, I've been choked so many times where I would pass out and I would wake up. and I had a gun to my head, not knowing if I was gonna make it out alive. Like that's how bad it was. And the only time my parents found out is because I had to go to my cousin's house. Like I got hit so bad, like I thought my eyeball was on the floor. And so I went to her house trying to stay away from my parents because again, I knew that if my dad found out, like my dad would be going to jail or somebody would end up dead. And I didn't want that for my dad because, you just don't want you love somebody so much that you know that they love you so much that it's not going to end well. So it was like I didn't want my dad in jail, but yeah, I never thought that I would leave that relationship because I was so bound to that relationship for just many of things, being low self-esteem, me feeling like I'm not going to be a single mother, like this is what it is. And it's so many times God stopped it because when we were supposed to go get married at the courthouse, my parents' car broke down. They had a working, functioning car. Nothing was wrong with this car. And the day we were supposed to go, my parents' car did not start. And honestly, by that time, I already had fallen out of love because I have this son. And I'm like, this is not what I'm supposed to be going through. I'm supposed to be loved. Like, when you have a child, it gives you a sense of what a love is because now you have this being to love. And I was like, this is not what love is. But he was so eager to still get married. So we still got married. It was so many times that God had me a way out, but I was so scared because he would tell me I was going to Everest College to be a medical assistant. And he would tell me, I know your schedule. I know when you get on the bus. I know when you get off the bus, he'll shoot up the school. He'll shoot me. And again, I've had a gun to my head. I've been beaten. So I'm thinking he's going to do what he say he's going to do. So you rather stay in a situation than to leave. And so a lot of people don't understand domestic violence. They always say, just leave, just leave. And I used to be the ones that judge people on the TV with my mom saying, why they just won't leave? Like they're stupid, they're dumb. But you never know what you're going to do until you get into that situation. And so I just thank God for allowing me to exit that because when I tell people that, they like, what? Because I don't look like what I've been through. Like it's
Mhm.
truly a testimony for me to come out unbruised and for me to be fully healed from that situation. Um and to teach now I have 3 children, but to, teach my sons and my daughter what love is. Because love is not abuse. And I thought love was abuse because you're telling me you're sorry. And sometimes too, like you said, you're a nurturer. So that's me. I'm a nurturer. I'm a healer. So I was thinking I can love you so much that I can heal your wounds and you'll love me correctly. And so that was my thing. If I love him a little bit harder, he's gonna love me. He's gonna change. He's gonna do this. And yeah, it it just amazes me how good God is. Like you say, I didn't really have that close bond with God that I do now. So when you look back on it, you know God was covering you. You know that you're here for a reason because it's no way, it's so many people that have lost their lives to domestic violence. And so for me to come out not looking like what I've been through, and I mean the bruises that if I still had the pictures, you would think that I should still have scars, and for me not to have anything on me physically and mentally because I'm mentally healthy. That's nobody but God can do that for you. And it's like once you dive deeper into God, He'll begin to tell you how to love. He'll begin to tell you how to heal from different situations that you've been in. So yeah, that's my big like I didn't think I was gonna make it, but God is just so good.
Wow, wow, that's a powerful testimony. And again, I
Yes.
thank you for the transparency. I appreciate the fact that you acknowledging God's role in navigating you through this because, like you said, it wasn't nothing but God. But the fact that you
Mhm.
survived it again lets us know there was a higher calling, there was a higher purpose for you.
Okay.
It didn't feel
Wow.
good going through what you went through. Nobody would have scripted it. Hey, let me sign up for this. But when God is involved, because of the nature of the assignment that He has on your life, if you notice, I don't know if you paid attention to the title of our show today is diving in for lost kids. You all have a lost kids type of situation, and now you're taking your storms, your journeys, your challenges, and you're diving in to try to help others who may be heading down that same path and trying to set a pathway for them not to have to go through what you had to go through. But
Yeah.
in order for you to be effective in that role, and we're going to dig into that a little bit more later in the show, but in order for you to be effective in that role, it required to go through this severe intensive training, if you will, so that you would have the story and the strength and the courage to be able to relay that back to those that God is already lining up for you to serve, to pour
Yeah.
into, to guide along the way. You wouldn't have the same kind of impact had you not gone through,
Went
but
through.
God didn't let it be
Yeah.
so extreme to where you couldn't survive it, because He was always there all along,
Yeah.
guiding and healing you. That's why you look like, that's why you don't look like what you've been through. That's why you said the scars that should be there, the bruises, the bumps, the lumps that should be completely visible are hidden, because that's God camouflaging that thing for you.
Yes.
Because they don't need to know that. They don't need to visibly see it. They just need to know He's put all of that in your heart and in your mind and in your soul. So at the
Yes.
appropriate time, like platforms like this, like other platforms that you'll be on, that you'll be able to pour in effectively. So there's always something behind, that storm, that journey that we're on. We don't always get it, but that's why God is God, because his thoughts are not our thoughts, His ways are not our ways. So
Away.
Yes.
Okay.
same question for you, Desiree. That rock bottom moment, that knock you in the head, kick me down. I don't know how I was gonna get through this, but
Oh
but
man.
God, here I am to tell it. What is that journey for
Ooh.
you?
I done had a lot of but God moments, so I'm trying to figure out which one I'm gonna pick from.
Okay.
And I like the title because that's why I made Lost Kids,
Mm-hmm.
because God put us through so many things. Like when people be asking me what is Lost Kids, I'm like, it's an avenue of things, because God put me through so much to even just pour into the next person. Like we never even had this type of conversation, but we have a lot of similarities, but different
Mm-hmm.
process. We
Exactly.
all have same things, same stories, but we all go through a different process because what this I'm going off what was said in church this past Sunday. What people want is on the menu. What we want, it got to take a little longer. So we see everybody else getting blessed, but doesn't mean that God ain't finna bless us. He's gonna bless us way more than what we think. Everybody else that's ordering stuff is on the menu. What we ordering, it gotta put some ingredients. It gotta go in the oven and bake. Sometimes we might even take it out a little early. So my but God moment, I'm gonna use one that happened recently, y'all. I'm in the middle of transitioning, so I have a lot of stuff that I have to like get out of me as far as like smoking. I haven't been drinking, and God's working on me. Like someone said, God had to spit on me. Okay, He had to spit on me. Okay, that's the nastiest thing a person can do is spit on you. But God had to spit on me. Like I just left a business meeting, and the lady kept asking me. She said, "Where you going after this?" I honestly, y'all, was going home. I honestly was going home. And I was like, man, let me stop by and see my friend and, get a little high. I, let me tell y'all, I was sitting there not only maybe 10 minutes, the spot got hit. I'm sitting there like, this is not happening. My younger self was trying to go out that window, but, of course they surrendered the whole complex. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is not happening. It's like a movie. So, they put me in zip ties, handcuffs basically, but it's zip ties. I go sit outside. I'm sitting there like, this, like you want to get high that bad. And I'm sitting there just praying. I'm like, God, if you get me out of this, like I swear you won't have to catch me at nobody's spot no more. Like I would cut off these friends. And I literally sat in handcuffs, y'all, for 3 hours, just sitting there. And I was just praying, and I couldn't call nobody. I ain't even really this is my first time really just telling people, because I only told a few people. I ain't even tell my mama, okay? Because I know she would have been like, what? You know what I'm saying? Something. But that was a huge experience for me, because God is trying to give me more, but I'm still going back to what's familiar. And He done brought me out of many things, and it's like I'm trying to show you this is the old you. This not who you are now. You know, you have to detach and grow from that because that's who you used to be. But if this is who you want to be, I'll let you be that person. That's fine. But this is the consequences that comes with it. And I felt like after that, they released me. They wound up releasing me. I was like, oh, thank you, God. You know, I was trying to get away after that. Like, I came right home and went to sleep, y'all. Like, because I was still shocked. But I felt like God put me there for a reason, not just for myself, but maybe somebody else was in bondage and I helped get them released. Because it was only like 7 of us, which mean completion, that got released. And they all was women. And you never know if somebody was getting abused, or you never know this person been trying to change and transaction from her drug addiction. You never know. So I felt like God not only just put me there for me to learn a lesson, but for someone else. And that really woke me up, because 9 times out of 10, when you get caught up in a situation like that, everybody go to jail. Nobody gets released, and that was like my wake up moment. Like, this is your future self. Like, how was I gonna explain that? I'm an author and an entrepreneur, and I'm in jail. Like, oh well, I want to get high. That's what. That's not like something I would want to. If the things that I'm doing with kids, like, oh, this is okay. No, it's not. You know. And so I appreciate God for putting me in that situation, because that situation has woke me up tremendously. Like, that's a scary moment, because I could be sitting in jail for 20, 30 years all because I just wanted to hit a blunt. That's it. So, and just touching base on just the abuse, I was in a situation too, I didn't understand why I was so calm, because I'm the aggressor. I'm sorry. Like, I'm the aggressor. And I was so calm. Like, and I was like, my body was like calm, like getting abused. And I'm like, even my friends started questioning me, like, what's up with you? Like, this ain't even you. And I'm like, I don't know. They was like, do you love him? I'm like, no. Like, I just felt like at the time, by me leaving the house at 12, just going to different spots, and because people let you in, doesn't mean they have a good outcome for you. They may let you in because they know that you're vulnerable at that moment, low self-esteem, you ain't got nowhere to go, no funds, and I always had somewhere to go. So I kept questioning myself, like, why am I still here? Like, it took to the point where that man bit me in my face, and I had his. They ain't here, like you said. These scars ain't here, but he bit my face, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I gotta get away. And I finally called my friend. Like, I didn't want my friend to step in because it can go either way. But the moment he stepped in, he ran away like a little girl, and I was just like, I should have did this a long time ago, but God's timing is different from ours, because we have to go through the process. Like I said, we all go through similar things, but a different process, because what God is trying to do is what we're doing now. Is pouring into somebody else, because we went through it. So I ain't finna keep going, because I got a lot of bug God moments, but that first one was my biggest wake up call, because it could have went a whole nother way.
Absolutely. And again, appreciate the transparency as always. And I think you selecting that story, that wasn't an accident. Like you said, you had a whole bunch of but gods that you could have talked about. And you talked about that. And I think what makes that particular story so powerful is the fact that, and this really would apply to all three of us. We are on a path right now. We are on a calling right now that has us doing some things that are about glorifying who God is in the various works that we're doing.
Yes.
And trust and believe, the devil is not happy about that.
Mm-mm.
He is not pleased. So much so he's infuriated by it. And so this is that moment in time when he's looking very intently for all of our vulnerabilities, our weaknesses, the things that tend to get us caught up, because he understands that if we get a little bit of taste of the past, that foolishness, whatever that is for us, you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned about smoking. For somebody else, it could be drinking. For somebody else, it could be, just other reckless type of lifestyle behaviors. It doesn't matter what it is. He's watching because he's like in desperation mode. It's like, I got to do something to throw him off, to throw her off. You out here trying to write books and be on stages and places. You trying to build ministries and pour into young
Yep.
people. I'm trying to motivate and encourage people and lead people to God and doing this, that, and the other. No, no, he don't want none of that. So let
Mm-hmm.
me tap into the thing that you struggle with the most, the
Most.
thing that you've been trying to pull away from little by little, and maybe in some instances you thought you would have gotten away from it, and then he's dangling it in front of you again. Remember this? Remember how it made
Yep.
you feel? You remember how good it tasted, smelled, whatever that was, that whatever that energy, whatever that impact you got from it, he dangles that in front of us intentionally, and even on God's side of it, he allows him to dangle it in front of us because he wants
Exactly.
us to show ourselves justified in terms of the works that he's calling us to do. He needs us to be able to pass those tests. So then
Yes.
that way, because he already knows you're going to be faced with more of these tests. I just need to know it's not that they're not going to continue to come. I just need to know that when they come, you're going to be able to handle it. You're not going to get
Yes.
Yeah.
caught up. You're going to be able to brush that thing off, push through it, persevere, and it's not going to be able to capture you. It's not going to be able to grab hold to you and get you off task, get you
Yes.
off mission. So he allows that, not because he wants us to succeed, obviously, but he has to give us
The-
those momentary tests, those pop
Yeah.
quizzes every now and then to say, okay, this is here. You're not when we not buying into that. We're not getting caught up in that distraction. We're not getting caught up in that
Yeah.
deterrence because it's opposite of what we're trying to do right now. And so,
Mm-hmm.
we've all been through that. And I got my own share of but God moments, even recent ones that, I know it's this devil trying to mess with me, but I
Mhm.
gotta fight, I gotta be strong, and I gotta continue to, just like I've been doing all along, I gotta continue to trust God and believe that He's gonna cover me, He's gonna protect me, He's gonna get me through this thing. It's just a storm. But as long as I'm locked arms with Him, He's gonna get me through it, and we're gonna be on to the next, and we're gonna keep moving, and something else is gonna pop up, but we're gonna be ready for it.
Yeah.
Even though we don't know the date or the time or the level of intensity that it's going to come at us at, we're still going to be ready because of who we're connected to. So,
Right.
thank you so much for sharing that. That's powerful. So, in light of the stories that you shared, and just thinking about adversity as a whole, um, if you would please share with me, what is your process right now whenever you're going through stuff? Again, whether it's similar things that you just talked about or just adversity in general, what do you lean into? What do you rely upon to kind of to follow? What's your regiment, your recipe, if you will, that you deal with in terms of when I'm going through something? This is what I do. This is what works for me to help me sustain, to keep my peace of mind, to keep my focus. What is it that I'm doing? I'm gonna start with you, Sarai. Tell me what do you lean into? Something's going on today. Just happened. You know, got hit with one of them moments. You're like, now I got to deal with this. How are you processing it? How are you working your way through it?
So for me, it sounds really cliche, but honestly, prayer is my biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
I will turn on my worship music and get in the presence of God because, again, with me being through so much stuff, I've tried everything. I've tried everything, and I have found nothing works but that. That is the only thing that's going to be able to calm my spirit because God knows me better than anybody. That's who's going to be able to give me the comfort that I need. That's who's going to be able to heal me if I'm going through something, somebody's hurt me, or, just to calm me down from the rage of trying to hurt somebody because you hurt my feelings. So I go straight into worship music, and most of the times he'll put a song in my spirit and I'll either start singing it and then I'll play it. But yeah, music of God and just prayer. Sometimes if I do go into prayer, I will sit down and write out my feelings. If
Mm-hmm.
it's just that bad where I just need to write this down to release it out of me. But those are the pretty much the three things that I do that will get me back on track.
That's awesome. And I think the key takeaway with that as well is that I want other people who might be listening in to know is um, you don't want to just start praying when you're in the mix of something. Like that has to be an ongoing thing that you're doing because when it comes to these storms of life, it's not a matter of if, but when. So we know it's coming.
Oh man.
Again, we don't know the day, the
Mhm.
time, or the level of intensity. So,
No other
like in
album.
using in your case, we want to stay prayed up. We want to stay ready even when things are
Right.
going well. I need to be ready because I know one day when I'm least expecting it, boom, here's going to happen. And so I don't have to play
Right.
catch up. I'm doing what I'm already
Right.
been doing. This is my routine. This is my norm. So what about you, Desiree? What do you lean into? What are you relying upon to kind of be prepared in advance as well as in that moment when you're going through what's worked for you?
Um, my biggest thing that I've been learning is responding different. I used to respond negatively, but now I respond positive. Like if something happens, I be like, okay, calm down, don't get upset. Take a little 5 minute breather and just collect what's really going on because it's not even that big. It just look like it's so big because he gonna throw them boomerangs at you because he wants you to slip and fall and get all crazy and stuff. But no, I learned how to respond different ever since I've been responding different. Oh my god. That's all I'm gonna say. Prayer is another thing for me. I go in my prayer closet. Yeah, I be digging in that Bible. So that's first and foremost. Not alone, I have which I just learned, a personal board, like people that can critique me, a mentor. I have people that's plugged in where I can call them, or I have an intercessor that can, give me more insight in what I'm doing. I have a loving church family. I love them. They see me growing and just my biggest thing I'm gonna just say, just responding different. That has played a huge part in what's been transitioning with me. Just to give y'all another transparent moment, I haven't paid rent since last year. Okay, and I'm the type of person, as long as I got me a car, I don't care because we all have family, and you got somewhere to go, take your bath, go to sleep, wake up, eat. That's how I am because I always been in survival mode. So I always just stay 5 steps ahead. So I kind of like packed up half of my house and, but still trusting in God at the moment. And I swear to God, y'all, I said, Lord, remove this cup of suffering from me. I wake up the next day. He ain't even the next day, the same night. $6,000 in my bank account out of nowhere. I was like, oh my God. Like, it be them little moments
Yeah.
of trusting
Yeah.
him. And ever since then, I got fired like 2 months ago, but it was divine setup. He paid my rent up to September. He paid my light bill up to September. It's like it was a divine setup. And I was like trying to give me another job. And he's like, so you still ain't gonna listen to me? And I'm like, okay, guys. So I decided, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go through this 90-day challenge with him. And when I tell y'all, it's been amazing because he's showing me what I need to change from. He's showing me what I need to, why am I picking up things he putting down, why I'm instead of picking them up. And he has been transitioning me, but he divinely set up where I can sit down, get to know him more, grow deeper. So it's kind of like a different level for me because I'm still transitioning, but it's just having the moment to take a step back and look at the bigger picture has played a huge role in my life right now at this moment because it's not easy, because we are the strong ones, but we go through things and we can, talk about it, but it's like we be trying to figure it out. But that's what God placed them people in our life for. So I'm learning how to just be open more, responding different, and I'm always gonna pray. And I also been putting scriptures on my heart. I have someone that helps me learn scriptures weekly, and it's crazy because it's like I know I'm like this, so it's amazing for me. Just I'm just navigating. Like I'm learning as we talking right now. So it's just a huge step for me that I do have the opportunity to just take a step back and really gather myself and get myself together. So when he launched me out this time, it would be
Mm-hmm.
ta-da. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm
That
excited.
that's awesome. And again, takeaways from what you just said. The importance of community, having the right people around you that you can call upon. Of course, prayer. That goes without saying, and making that an ongoing practice. And I've had a chance to see a picture. You posted some pictures of your prayer closet, so you got it pretty laid out. You got your space that you can go to meditate on God's word and
Mhm.
and hide His word in your heart. So all of that stuff is wonderful and is definitely impactful for your healing journey whenever you're going through challenging times. And like I said, God will move, you know, in the most unsuspecting, unbelievable ways. When you go
Unbelievable.
telling this to people and they're
Yes.
like, you making that up, you lying, you know.
Right.
Man,
No, you just don't know. You don't know until you know.
you
Until
don't
Okay.
you've been
know
there,
until
you
you
know.
know. Because y'all
You
know
know.
when y'all hear people say unexpected checks in the mail and stuff like that,
Mhm.
I used to, and God honest truth, I used to be like, oh, that ain't for me or that ain't happening. And y'all, I'm telling you, when you get right with God and you build that relationship and you stand on his word that's in the Bible and know those things to be true, like you said, I was in a financial bind. I've never been at that moment that low ever in my life financially. And so I know that this isn't a battle, but I knew that I trusted God. But at some point, I was like, okay, God, my faith is getting a little low here because X, Y, and Z is due. X, Y, and Z is due. You're getting a text here, you're getting a text there. And a card came in the mail, and I was about to throw it in the trash because I thought it was like one of those, like, them credit cards that say like you pre approved or something like that.
Mhm.
So I was about to throw it in the trash, and the Holy Spirit told me to call that card. Y'all caught that card and it was 3,000 and some dollars on there. And I was like, I need to call somebody because I need to see if this is scam. Is this some I was like, they want to give you the little operator. I'm like, no, I need to talk to a live person. And I just
Mhm.
began to shout on that phone because, like you said, God is real. And you don't know until you know.
No.
And I thank God that he gives us these testimonies for somebody to share these testimonies. So when it happens to you, you like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
when they say if he did it for me, he'll do it for
Do for
you.
you.
And sometimes it gotta happen for you to really believe that. And so, yeah, God is just he's really good and he shows up on time. That's the thing. It's
On
like
time.
even on the waiting, when you waiting on him, just begin to still just praise him. And when your faith get low, because we are human, pray. Get in your word to give you reminders. Like you said, get with somebody that's gonna make you learn the scriptures and hide it in your heart because he tells us that's what we need to do. So when the devil throws stuff at you, you already have those things in your heart where you can throw something back. Like, no, my father said X, Y, and Z. And you know God to be true. So you know it's gonna happen when it's his divine time. And so, yeah, God is just good. And it's amazing how all of us are aligning to these things to know that if he did it for me, he'll do it for
Do it for
you.
you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that's so powerful. And Desiree, when you talked about earlier about just the whole point of mindset, just looking at the challenges and storms differently. Like instead of you getting all riled up, you know, you're like, okay, let me pause for a moment. Let me process this. That's really important too. And we're still human, so you have a right to experience your various emotions. Again, you
Yes.
just don't want to, you know, get stuck there. You have that emotional moment, whatever that is, cry, mad,
Yes.
frustrated, whatever it is. But then you say, okay, now that I've had that moment, let me reset. Let me take it all in. This is what God is trying to do here,
Yes.
and then you navigate accordingly. That's ultimately what it's about here. So, you know, it's the way that we have to do. It's the way that we have to operate. So, um, yeah, and just even right now as we're talking, as we had a little couple little technical glitches here. We're gonna roll through it. You can hear me, I can hear you. Devil,
Yes.
Okay.
you ain't liking the conversation, but we're loving it, and
Okay.
we're acknowledging who's in charge. So
Right.
we just gonna keep it moving. You know I'm
Yes.
here. So, um, what I'd like to know from the both of you, if you would, please tell me if you had an opportunity, I should say, to talk to someone. Let's just say somebody's listening that's gone through some of the stuff that you've gone through, or just maybe just going through adverse moments in general. Or you can even envision it of you having an opportunity to talk to your younger selves. What would be the few words of encouragement that you might have to be of inspiration and uplifting to that person to let them know, you know, what things to keep in mind in terms of how to navigate these challenges of life. And I'll start with you, Desiree. What would you tell younger Desiree? What should she know? Or somebody that's listening in that's like young Desiree, what should she know to handle adversity?
I would say resilience. Resilience played a big old part in my journey. When Sarah Jakes had preached that word, "Girl, get up," that touched my heart because it's about showing up. Just show up. I be telling people like half of the time I don't be having money, I don't be having gas. It's always the obstacle, but I show up. Showing up plays a big part in everything. No matter if you show up 10 minutes late or it doesn't matter. Just show up because God put somebody in the room to be there for you. Yesterday I got invited to a event and I don't know who gave this lady my name, but I know who it came from, but I was just like, these are the rooms that I'm about to be in. God is already putting my name in these rooms, and I just have that resilience of getting back up because it's hard. Like I said, even though we the strong ones, it's hard for us. We go through a lot, but it's like we are helping younger generation because they the next generation. And we have to help them navigate through this thing called life because we're navigating, we're learning, we in our learning moment right now, and we can be teachers, we can teach also, but I just say my favorite point is resilience. Just get back up, like no matter what. That's them blocks be your stepping stones, to keep going. Your steps are already ordered, so when things come as a boomerang for me, I got to get back up because if I sit here and I slump in this, you know, thing that this devil don't try to put in my breezeway, it's like he got the best of me, and so the battlefield is in your mind. It's the mind thing. Long as you take a track of your mind and not have everybody else in your ear, because it can be a lot of people in your ear and you can't even hear from God. And somebody had to honestly tell me to shut up. Okay, they told me shut up because that's the reason I ain't been hearing God, because I need to shut up. And I was like, oh my God, but I needed that because I'm over here asking why I ain't been hearing from God. I can hear him, but I can't concept what he's really saying. It's because I'm talking too much. I got everybody in my ear. It's cool for people to pray for you, but pray for yourself because you don't know if people are praying for you or praying on you. And just like how we having a conversation, you can have the same conversation with God. All you got to do is just have a conversation. He'll pick up that phone. He gonna always pick up that phone. He may not respond immediately. Doesn't mean that he has not gave us an answer. It's just the answer haven't got, you ain't close enough for the answer at the moment, but doesn't mean that he didn't answer it. So I say resilience off top because that played out. That Sarah Jake's word. I probably gonna watch it when we get off of here because that girl get up is powerful because it's a lot of women, adults and younger version that are going through the similar things, but nobody never told them to get back up. Nobody told them like this is you going through this helped me. It may not help you in the same way, but you can critique it in your own way. Like I never had that. Like I told y'all in the beginning, I left the house at 12. Every household I done went to was like a piece of the puzzle to make me whole again. And as I'm getting older now, I'm like, I'm tired of surviving. I'm ready to be stable. Like, this ain't me. And I know this is not where I'm staying, but I have to let go of things for God to give me more. If we can't detach for things that no longer serve us, we'll forever just be at that mediocre. I'm not trying to be mediocre. Okay, God got me a whole land, and I'm trying to have it His way. Like, is that McDonald's or Burger King? Have it your way, one of them. And that helped me a lot. So resilience, I'm gonna tell that's my younger self. Girl, get up, arise, keep going. No matter what it looks like, no matter finances done been messed up, jobless, everything. But I never gave up. I never stopped looking at the assignment that God put me on. At first it was hard for me, especially my age. I'm 28 and I be looking for my village. Like, where's my village at? And God poured it in me so I can find the village, because it's like a lot of our younger crowd is running from the church because they can't relate. They not relating. They not getting on their level. You have to get on these kids' level for them to understand. We can preach a word. We can you know, do everything that we are called to do. But if that child is not reciprocating what you were saying, it's like it's going in one ear after the other. I have to get on these kids' level. If you want to play Roblox, yeah, I'm gonna play Roblox with you and give you the word at the same time. I have to get on these children level. Nobody ever got on my level. I always went to church. I always got the word, but I never understood it until I got like 26, 27. And the only way I was understanding the word was reading this book called Rich and Righteous. I said, "Oh, that's how you understand the scriptures in the Bible." Like what? Like, and ever since then, now I can dissect. I can. Yes, it's like amazing. Like it surprises me. Like, and when I talk about God, I be so happy. People like, you be so happy. It's because you don't know what He brought me out of. Off of just shifting my perspective on things and focusing and believing in Him and putting all my trust in Him. Like, and He just been showing up and showing out. Like, even if you waiting, like He's gonna show up. Like, no matter what. So that's why I would tell my younger self and to anybody that's listening to this podcast, girl, get up, or man, get up, whichever one you want to put in there.
I think you're muted.
No. Oh, glory to God. Glory to God. Oh, look at the devil. He ain't gonna win today. He ain't gonna win today.
Okay.
He ain't gonna win.
He ain't gonna win.
Mm-mm. This is some good testimony. That's
Mm-mm.
why he like, ain't nobody supposed to
It
see me win. You
is.
gonna hear it
But I
tonight.
do want to say, with your get up, like I'm glad that you got up because that's how we made our first encounter. Because I remember uh when we first met, you weren't even gonna go to the event. You was like, I wasn't even finna show up. And so that right there, like you said, you never know being in that room who you need to encounter. Being in that room, you never know who you need to connect with. And so, yeah, I just wanted to say thank you in that moment for getting up because you needed to be in that room for us to connect, for all three of us to connect. It just God's alignment is about everything. And when you're obedient to Him, you'll begin to see why He has you doing the things that you're doing. So I did just want to start there before I did chime in. But um, for me, if I had to tell any young person or my young self, is no matter what you go through, God still loves you. No matter what you go through, God can restore those things. No matter what you go through, still stay fast on what you said that you were going to do. Things are going to come your way, but that's okay. It doesn't define you. You know what I mean? It makes you stronger. It's building your character. Get around people who have those same characteristics as you. Get around those people that are God fearing because, again, at a young age, if we're God fearing at a young age, we try to hang with the people that are of the world, and that's where we go wrong at. So I encourage you to get with people who have those same desires as you, that you want to serve God. You get with friends that want to serve God as well. Um, just be who you are. Don't change for nobody. Love on yourself. Love and be transparent. One thing I will say is I wasn't very transparent with my parents because the enemy played on my mind to think that my mom didn't like me. So I didn't really talk to my mom about a lot of stuff that I went through. My mom found out a lot of stuff that I went through in my 20s, and I'm 31 now. So I would say, I know it's like parents nag, but talk to your parents. They understand a lot more things than
Yeah.
what we know. We try to be like, oh, they don't understand. They on this. They understand. They've been through things. You're not the only one going through stuff. They've been through things as well. And if you have a parent that you can't talk to, get with somebody who you trust and begin to speak to them about certain things so you can have an outlet. But get with somebody who is going to be biblical with you, not just give you opinions of the world, because some of that stuff don't stick like it need to stick.
Yeah.
Like Desiree said, getting with somebody that's going to teach you the Bible to hide in your heart. You know what I mean? So I would just say, continue to be who you are and do not let anybody change you. You are beautifully and wonderfully made. No matter what the enemy try to tell you, when he try to make you feel like you ugly, when he try to make you feel like you're not worthy, you are worthy. When those thoughts begin to come in your mind, you say, "No, devil, I know that that's you because God said something different." God say, take those thoughts captive, right? So it's only a thought, and whatever you allow that thought to dwindle, then it goes into your heart. But I would just say, remain who you are. You're beautiful, you're handsome, you are worthy of everything that God said that you could have. Like you're just worthy. And that's my take, is knowing your worth. At the end of the day, knowing your worth. You are so worthy no matter what you've been through. We've been through some things here, and people could say, oh, they're not worthy because of the things that you've been through. But that just build our character. That built us to make us stronger. That built us so we can save somebody else. So
Yeah.
don't ever think that what you went through is for nothing. God will get the glory out of that. God will take that mess and turn it to a message. That's a real thing. He will take what the devil tried to destroy you with and make turn that thing, and you'll be stomping on his head with the same thing. Like
Yes.
you bad. You have the victory. So just know that no matter what you go through, you say these things to yourself. There's so many scriptures. I wish I would have wrote them down, but there's so many scriptures that remind you of how resilient you are, how worthy you are. But don't run away from the church. As a young person, don't run away from the church. And I know that there are some people that are judgmental, but that doesn't define who God is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Don't run from the church. Desiree, like she said in her testimony, she's able to go to her church family and they love on her and pray for her. We need a community of people that are able to pray for us and pour into us like we try to pour into other people. So don't run away from the church.
Yeah.
And if you do, don't run away from God,
Yeah.
because He made you, He created you. So in order to know who you are, you got to know who you are in God. You have to know who you are in Christ. So I just encourage you to love on yourself and know that you are always beautiful no matter what the things that you've been through.
Can you ladies hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. See, devil trying to be
See, look
busy.
at God.
We having a
God really
powerful
likes you.
conversation here. You trying to disrupt it, right? We've been flowing just as
Okay.
smooth. So anybody listening, one things you need to know about Blessing the Streets podcast is that we talk about some powerful stuff on here, and from time to time, the enemy tries to interrupt with a technical difficulty, but my ladies kept it going, kept the conversation moving. So I apologize for any missteps along the way, but please don't let that distraction deter you from the messaging that you're hearing there, because you're hearing some
Amen.
powerful stuff that you need to thrive on, to grow on, to meditate on, to ingest and let it become all that it can be within you. So keep that in mind, because and in a way, even though I'm obviously I'm wanting a smooth and perfect broadcast and everything, it's important, it's powerful for something like this to happen. Because see, we could have got all frustrated. We could have just logged off the call and acted like this session was a waste of our time, bending our feelings and all that. But that's not what we're doing, because we understand the assignment. We understand
Yeah.
what needs to be said, what needs to be heard. And it is what it is. These glitches, these interruptions, these interferences. This is a part of what the storms of life is about.
Storms.
We're,
Yep.
we're everything is rolling smoothly. It seems like everything is in place, and then boom, I get knocked to the left. Boom, I get kicked to the right. Boom, something hits me across the head. I didn't see it coming, but here it is.
Mm.
Am I gonna stay down and out, or am I gonna fight my way through it? So I've been clicking between the phone and back, and
Yeah.
clicking on this and that, and here we are. We're talking. We still here. Everybody's good. The energy is still alive. The
Yes.
devil is a lie, and and we working this thing out. So thank you for holding it down in my
Yeah.
midst of my technical difficulties. I apologize for that.
Yes.
So yeah, definitely powerful stuff that you ladies are sharing. So again, if you would, uh, at this point of the show, again, it's all about us celebrating. So please tell us what projects you got going on. Desiree, tell us. You got your book. Tell everybody about your book
Oh
um,
yes.
and what's going on with you. What you got coming up.
I have a new book which is called Lost Kids Alphabet Coloring Book, which you can find it on Amazon. I'm rebranding right now. I had to go back to the drawing board. I thought I was finna go to summer season, but God was like, you still got a little stuff to learn and do. So I'm at the drawing board right now, rebranding myself. Um, I just wanna make sure I'm delivering my message right, because it's like when people ask me, it changes daily. Okay. Do y'all still hear
We can still hear
me?
you. Don't worry about it.
We can still hear you. Don't worry about it.
Okay. So it changes daily. So I just y'all see me soon. Stay tuned. But you can find me on Facebook, Desiree Robinson. Right now I'm taking a break for the internet. So if I don't respond, please don't get upset. I'm just taking a break. I will resume in July. Um but I'm just navigating. I just want to be direct with my message. So when I get back on the internet, it will be for a purpose, not just scrolling, not just, the book is doing okay. It can be better. So that's why I'm rebranding myself. And my book launch was a success. It surprised me. It surprised me a lot. Everybody showed up for me, and that was amazing for me to know that I am on the right path for what I'm doing. So just stay tuned. Like I said, you can find me on Facebook, Desiree Robinson, DesreeRobinson, or Instagram, which is Lost Kids Coloring Book.
Awesome,
Awesome,
awesome.
awesome.
And
And
tell me
tell me what's going on with you, Sarai?
Your ministry.
Ministry.
Yes.
Speak on that.
So, I am the founder of Dive Ministries. Dive stands for Develop Integrity Value Excellence. So we just help individuals to dive deeper in the relationship with Christ, develop integrity, valuing each other as unique creation of God, and striving in excellence in everything that we do. So again, I work with children, youth, and women. Right now, I am hosting a purity course at the moment for teens that are 12 through 18 years of age. And so, with this purity course, again, we're just teaching them who they are in Christ and how to stay pure. Again, one of my desires that God put into me at a very young age was about saving myself. And so the world will tell you that you're
That
not
you're not
able to
able
do
to
that because,
because
again,
again,
the
the
world is
world is
selling
selling
to it. The
to it. The
world
world
feels
feels
like
like
you need to
you
be
need
in
to
a
be in a
relationship.
relationship.
And so God
And
has
so
just
God
placed
has
this on
just
my
placed this
heart
on
to
my
pour
heart to
back
pour
into
back
young
into young
women
women
um,
um,
that
that
you're
you're
able to
able to
save
save
yourself for
yourself
your
for your
husband,
husband,
but
but
also
also
not just
not just
to
to
sustain from
sustain from
sex, but
sex, but
just to
just
know
to
who
know
they
who they
are in
are in
Christ.
Christ.
And when
And
you
when you
put
put
Christ
Christ
first, a
first,
lot
a
of
lot of
times
times
they
they
want
want
you
you
to
to
please
please
Christ
Christ
other
other
than
than
you
you
are
are
willing
willing
to do the
to the
world.
world.
And that's
And
just
that's
a
just a
project that
project
I
that I
have
have
going on
going
right
on right
now.
now.
But
But
again,
again,
I am
I
a
am a
domestic
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 violence
violence
coach.
coach.
So
So
I
I
just
just
try
try
to
to
encourage
encourage
people
people
through the
through the
things that
things that
they
they
have
have
been
been
through.
through.
Again,
Again,
it's
it's
very
very
hard
hard
to pick
to
yourself
step
up
up
after
after
being
being
in
in
a
a
violence
violence
relationship
relationship
because you
because you
feel
feel
low,
low,
you
you
feel
feel
unworthy, you
unworthy,
feel
you feel
lost.
lost.
So
So
my
my
purpose
purpose
here on
here
this
on this
earth
earth
to
to
guide
guide
women
women
who they are, and also from foundation of Christ. Because as I stated before, if you don't have Christ, it's very easy to get lost in the things of the world.
Well, that's
awesome.
Glad to hear that. God is using you in a mighty way. So keep up the good work. All right. Well, like I said, we've been dealing with some technical difficulties, but you know, we're not going to let this stop us. It is what it is. It has been a pleasure having you ladies on the show.
Thank you.
Desiree, Sarai, thank you so much for sharing your journey, being transparent. I truly do appreciate it. And I think in spite of the technical difficulties, we're going to get our message out that the people need to hear. So I'm just so thankful and appreciative of you both. So with that said, that concludes our podcast episode for Blessings in the Streets. And until next time, keep in mind that your story is your glory, your relationships are relevant, and there's joy in your journey. Until next time, be blessed, take care, and I'll see you next.